Welcome, everyone. Yes, let's start that way with celebration. I'm so happy to be here with each of you today. I know that when we envisioned this May event, that we all saw blue skies and sleeveless dresses, that's under here, and an opportunity to frolic in the sunlight in celebration of this glorious day. It is still a glorious day, and I sense that in your spirit and your smile, and it's certainly present in me. I am joyful to be here. I'm Julie Byerly, the President and Dean of Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine, and I'm so happy to be here today on behalf of our Board of Directors and our Board Chair, Miss Virginia Greger over here. Virginia, if you'll please stand and wave. On behalf of our faculty, staff, and students, I thank you for joining us for the White Coat Ceremony today for the class of 2024. This is a belated ceremony for the 13th class of medical students at Geisinger Commonwealth. This is a ceremony of great joy, especially now that we celebrate together, just as you embark on your clinical phase of learning. I would like to start by recognizing the loved ones who are here to support the students today. Will all the parents of members of the class please stand to be recognized? Now, will all the brothers, sisters, partners, and other loved ones of these students please rise? Your support for these students means the world. I am pleased to welcome members of the community from this region of Pennsylvania who are with us today. Geisinger Commonwealth was founded by the community, and more than any other medical school, Geisinger Commonwealth is embraced by the community that we together serve. Thank you sincerely to our community members for your support. I would also like to recognize the commitment and dedication of a group of incredibly talented people, Geisinger Commonwealth's faculty and staff. Thank you. I'd like to introduce the stage party. Please stand as your name is called and hold your applause until the end. First, Dr. Bill Jeffries, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Vice Dean for Medical Education. Next, our speaker today, Dr. Mauro Biscotti. You'll hear additional information about him when he is presented later as the Dr. Lester Stedman Memorial Lecturer. Dr. Tanya Adonisio, Associate Dean for Student Affairs. Dr. Michelle Schmude, Associate Dean for Admissions, Enrollment Management, and Financial Aid. Brandon Eelberg, a member of our class of 2022, who will introduce the Gold Humanism Honor Society and graduate next week. Dr. Michael Ferraro, Regional Associate Dean for our South Campus. Dr. Mark Olaf, Regional Associate Dean for the Central Campus. Dr. Larry Sampson, Regional Associate Dean for the Guthrie Campus. Dr. Shubhra Shetty, Regional Associate Dean for the North Campus. And Dr. Julie Xanthopoulos, Regional Associate Dean for the West Campus. Thank you all. Today, the faculty of Geisinger Commonwealth will cloak each of you students with a white coat, a symbol of professional obligation that you will bear proudly throughout your career as physicians. There has never been a more exciting time to enter the medical profession. As you enter your clinical rotations, you'll get to see and experience how advances in technology like informatics and genomics and others have vastly improved the science of medicine. Regardless of the scientific advances that we celebrate, unchanged is the need for physicians, us, to see the patient as a whole person. Today, we celebrate both the science and service of doctoring. The oath that you'll take today is unique to Geisinger Commonwealth. It's relatively short, but it encompasses the key elements of being a physician: that your patients will be your first concern, that you're studying for their sake, that you acknowledge your limits, that you're gracious to your teachers and colleagues, that in your studies and in your life, you will manifest the dignity and integrity that your future patients expect of you, that you practice humility. I encourage you to keep this oath in your hearts, to reread it at regular intervals during your journey as a physician, to keep in mind your calling and obligation to the patients and populations that we together serve. I will now call Dr. Tanya Adonisio, Dean of Students, to the podium.
Thank you, Dr. Byerly, for those beautiful sentiments. We, and now you, as physicians, have a special obligation to keep our hearts and minds open and always to maintain our compassion, humility, and respect for others. And when Dr. Byerly so eloquently described how to approach patients with dignity and humility, you may have been envisioning yourself doing so in some distant future, perhaps when you're a resident, a real doctor. Perhaps you think that's when you'll begin upholding your oath. Please don't make that mistake. Your education here at GCSOM has introduced you early to clinical settings, and now those experiences will intensify. You'll begin the hard work of upholding your oath now. Medical school will test you. Sometimes the sheer volume of knowledge you're expected to acquire will seem overwhelming. Sometimes you'll feel sleep deprived. Sometimes the combination of these things will tempt you to jettison what you may think are the niceties, like patience and courtesy. You may think it's okay just this once, until that exam is over, to speak sharply to your colleagues and not be fully present with your patients. This is when you should remember the oath you'll take today. As you recite the words, realize it's a promise you'll begin to keep right away. So now it's my pleasure to ask Dr. Jeffries to introduce the Seidman Lecture.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to add my welcome to the class of 2024 and to all the faculty, family, and friends who have joined us today to celebrate this milestone in your journey to becoming a physician. I'm sure you're very anxious to put on your white coats, and not just because of the ambient temperature in here. In the words of Dr. Arnold P. Gold, founder of the White Coat Ceremony, the white coat is personally placed on each student's shoulders by individuals who believe in the student's ability to carry on the noble tradition of doctoring. It is a personally delivered gift of faith, confidence, and compassion. We believe in you, and today's ceremony is a public affirmation of that trust. Today's lecture will fittingly emphasize the importance of professionalism and the student's obligation in the doctor-patient relationship. Dr. Bruce Seidman who is usually here to introduce this lecture, which is named in honor of his father, Dr. Lester Seidman, could not be here today. So I have the honor of describing Dr. Lester Seidman's contributions to medicine, and the brief remarks that I make are much embellished in your programs today. Dr. Seidman was a strong advocate for lifelong medical education. He realized that continuing to improve upon your skill as a clinician does not end at the completion of medical school, internship, residency, or fellowship. He was a lifelong learner in emergency medicine, primary care, and internal medicine. He always viewed his white coat not as a barrier to patient communication, but as a gateway to compassionate care. To recognize Dr. Seidman's commitment to medical humanism, his family established this lectureship to help the newest members of the profession better understand the obligations and rewards of their role. In this spirit, the Seidman family is proud to have Dr. Maurer Biscotti as our Lester Seidman White Coat Ceremony speaker. Dr. Biscotti was chosen by them as today's speaker due to his many accomplishments and devotion to lifelong learning and unwavering patient care. A native of northeastern Pennsylvania, Maurer Biscotti, MD, graduated Phi Beta Kappa from the Pennsylvania State University with a degree in biochemistry and molecular biology. He was commissioned as an ensign through the Navy Health Profession Scholarship Program and attended Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons, graduating in 2010. He was awarded the Rear Admiral David W. Lyon Award for Outstanding Academic Achievement, the Dr. Alan O. Whipple Memorial Award for Outstanding Performance in Surgery, and was inducted into the Alpha Omega Alpha Honor Medical Society. He trained in general surgery at Columbia University Medical Center, during which time he spent 2 years doing cardiothoracic surgery research. He completed a 2-year extracorporeal membrane oxygenation ECMO fellowship. He was awarded the Blakemore Prize for Excellence in Research. In 2017, he headed to the San Antonio Military Medical Center, serving as an ECMO specialist and general surgeon, and caring for more than 150 ECMO patients, including transports from around the nation, as well as from Iraq and South Korea. In 2019, he deployed to North Africa in support of the Joint Special Operations Command counterterrorism operations, serving as the sole surgeon on a damage control surgical team. Lieutenant Commander Biscotti received the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences Medical Student Teaching Award for excellence in medical student teaching. For his final year of active duty, he served as the ship's sole surgeon aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier. Dr. Biscotti left the military in 2021 and is now associated with the University of Pennsylvania. Please welcome the 2022 Seidman speaker, Dr. Maurer Biscotti.
First, thank you, Dr. Jeffries, for that kind introduction. I also want to thank Dean Byerly and Dr. Adenizio, and especially Dr. Seidman and his family for the invitation to speak here today. It feels good finally to be back home in northeastern Pennsylvania. To the students of the Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine class of 2024, welcome, and congratulations on making it this far. I know this is normally given at the beginning, but due to our COVID restrictions, you're here on the way to going into clinical clerkship soon. While this may be an unusual time for you to be formally donning your white coats, given the delays, it is perhaps more fitting that you receive these symbols of our profession now as you begin to enter the wards and clinics this summer. You've all come to medicine at a very interesting time in the history of our country and the world. I mean, as you all know, the reason Dr. Seidman's not here today, we're still in the midst of a global pandemic, one that has seen millions of lives lost, 1 million in our country alone. At the same time, media personalities have become experts on monoclonal antibodies and ivermectin, and healthcare workers have become celebrities. You have entered medicine when the world most needs you. You chose to jump into the fray, get your hands dirty, and serve humanity when it's at its lowest. It's not an easy decision, and as a military veteran, I can realistically liken it to joining the Army when we're at war. You should all be applauded for your path that you've chosen to take. The world truly does need you. But I come to you today not as a sage elder at the finish line of my journey in this profession, but rather as someone who's at a new beginning in my career as well. As you've heard already, I'm from this area. I went to Penn State as an undergrad and immediately followed by Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons, whereas some of you may know, and I think it was 1993, this ceremony first started with Dr. Gold. While at Columbia, I fell in love with surgery, much to the chagrin of my father, who's an internist in the area, and was lucky enough to complete my surgical training there. And then I served in the Navy for 4 years, both in San Antonio and San Diego. And like Dr. Seidman, who you can read about in your pamphlet, who was an Army officer during World War II, I felt the desire to serve my country and those who defend it. But after my time, I was in my late 30s, and I was still not yet satisfied with my career. I wanted to pursue more different and exciting areas of medicine, so I chose to continue training in cardiothoracic surgery at the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm there today. Many of you, as you get further along in your medical training, will see your friends from high school or college become partners and principals and managers in their chosen professions. You may feel like you're getting left behind in the race to achieve and compete and produce results and earn more money. But I want to take this opportunity to let you in on a little secret. You're not part of that race. The path you guys have chosen has no finish line. When those roads diverged in the woods, you guys all chose the one less traveled. And take Dr. Seidman as a model. He chose to learn a new skill and get certified in advanced trauma life support when he was at an age where most people were collecting their Social Security checks. His learning never stopped and his humility never waned. And I want you all to use that brief journey in mind as well, Dr. Seidman's career and my journey, that your commitment to lifelong learning should truly never end. On top of that, I also want you to take solace and really appreciate that from this day on, the day that you put those white coats on, you enter a sacred and privileged realm. Every single day that you have an interaction with a patient, you have the power to change somebody's life. You owe it to yourself and to your patients to never stop learning. It's the only way you can ensure that you've done everything in your power to treat their patient and their disease. From the first day on the wards as a medical student, which you'll be coming up to shortly, every piece of advice you give to your patient, or every scared parent you talk to, or every slice of the scalpel you make, you have the power to transform the life of another human being. But of course, that power carries great responsibility as well. Beginning now, and again, like I said, for the rest of your life, whatever you accomplish is no longer about you. Every success you have and every failure you endure is the byproduct of another person's life saved or lost, a patient cured, or one who's still suffering. For you and for me and for all of us up here, the patient is the center of the universe now. Well, patient-centered care has become a sort of catchy phrase in modern medical parlance, but it is the core of what it means to be a physician. It's why my dad, after completing his training in internal medicine, moved back to Northeast PA to serve in the then underserved hometown of DuPont. It's just down the road. It's why Dr. Seidman, Lester Seidman, turned his personal house phone into his private answering service. It's why we all wake up every morning. As my medical school mentor told me, every morning when I wake up, the first thing I think about is what can I do for my patients today? It is this care for the individual patient, this human-to-human connection, that is by far the most rewarding and most important part of our profession. And no matter how busy you become or how profound your understanding is of an esoteric disease process, the ability to connect with your patients will benefit both them and secondarily you in no ways that really nobody else can understand. I'll give you one example. Last week, I was busily checking in my patient for open heart surgery. I began discussing the surgery with her, how we were going to use a machine to take over the function of her heart and lungs. We were going to cool her to 18 degrees Celsius and cease all blood flow to her body for 20 minutes and replace her ascending aorta and aortic arch and restart her heart and reperfuse her body, and et cetera, et cetera. The patient stopped me very quickly, though, and said, "Doc, I understand all of that, but I'm just really nervous." And at that point, there's not much I could really say to somebody with such a valid concern. I mean, she had a 5% chance of dying on the table and 15% chance of being permanently disabled. So I responded not with more esoteric knowledge of her disease process, but I asked her who she was there with and where she was from. As it turns out, she traveled to Penn from Taylor, which if you're from the area, you know is right down the road. And then we got into an extensive and pretty deep discussion about which pizza is better from Old Forge. I happen to think it's Ravello's. I don't know if anybody of you have been to Old Forge, and she really likes our Caro and Janelle's, and we sort of agreed to disagree. And then when I began to tell her a little bit more about me, I told her I went to Penn State. She began singing the fight song. She was a 1965 grad of Penn State, which, I mean, she's obviously quite a bit older than I am. But she told me stories about Old Main and all the homecoming football games she went to. And so as I walked out of the room, she told the nurse she was comfortable and she was ready to go back to the operating room. But not only did she feel more comfortable, our newfound connection strengthened my resolve to do everything I could to help this woman. She's luckily home today, and hopefully she's enjoying some low-fat, low-sodium Old Forge pizza. When you hit the wards and clinics this summer, I want you all to remember those two things that Dr. Seidman and lived his entire life pursuing. First, obviously, never stop learning, and always remember that your connection with the patient is the most important relationship outside of your family that you will ever have. I'll leave you with a quote from Jim Valvano. Many of you are probably too young to remember him, but he was a college basketball coach who gave a very moving speech near the end of his battle with leukemia. He reminded the audience that there are three things you should do every day. Number one is laugh. Number two is think, spend some time in thought. And number three, you should have your emotions move to tears. If you all live by that mantra, if you laugh with your patients, if you cry for your patients, and if you think and learn about your patients, then you will be successful at whichever field in our profession you choose. Thank you all, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Dr. Biscotti, on behalf of the Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine, I wish to extend our appreciation for your inspiring remarks and thank you for giving the Lester Seidman Memorial Lecture.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Michelle Schmuti, and I'd like to thank Dr. Biscotti for sharing his inspiring message. It's my pleasure to call the students forward for the presentation of their white coats. Presenting the white coats to the class of 2024 will be our regional deans, Drs. Ferraro, Olaf, Sampson, Shetty, and Xanthopoulos. Students, please come forward, and they are already in progress. And so please, I ask you to hold your applause till all of the names have been called. Kinza Abbas. Nevin Adamski. Alexia Aguilar. Sean Leo Alventosa. Caitlin Anderson. Kara A. Anzelevich. Benjamin Apple. Stefan Ananzan. Nada Bader. Gabriella Bagden. Evan C. Bear. Allison Barrett. James Basting. Burke Beauregard. Michael A. Blazeski. Bensa Boalam. Carly Brash. Shane Patrick Bross. Mark Brown. Abigail Burke. Patrick Callahan. Evan M. Calvo. Priscilla Caroline Cannels. Matthew Carnevale. Rachel Charles. Miranda Chen. Misty X. Chen. Shui Chen. Irene Yuha Cho. Christopher Paul Conroy. Tom Cronin. Carly J. Dieter. Jocelyn Dialectos. Brian Michael Diostroff. Megan Elizabeth Dowd. Jason Doda. Rodrigo Fano. Alexia Gagliardi. Reagan Gallagher. Irene June Ganal. Guha J. Ganesh. Rachel Gefeisman. Thomas Gonzalez. Emily Abigail Grimes. Mindy Gruzen. Tice Harkins. Donovan Harris. Connor S. Johnson. Rohan Kadi. Adam Jeffrey Klaus. Jessica Kaczynski. Michael Andrew Kovalik Jr. Victoria Lanham. Jacob Aaron Linker. Laura Loser. Wanyan Ma. Elise Machalik. Mark Mandak. Brian Anthony Martin. Bo McCarver. Jacob McKenzie. Joshua Paul Mills. John Albert Cavalier Murray. Catherine Musto. Alexis Ann Notariani. Sierra O'Connell. Olawa Shea Olawalanu. Mira Patel. Merlin Paz. Jacqueline Pod. Zane Porterfield. Joshua Quach. Jennifer Lee Kinter. Clement Rajakumar. Rowena Rajan. Stephen Reel. Miranda Rep. Gabriela Rodriguez. Bianca V. Sanchez. Nathan Sanders. Lisbeth Sandoval. Lena Ann Shawley. Hamza Sharif. Richard Parker Shea. Rachel Simon. Benjamin J. Smith. Mary Taglieri. Jessica Tang. Audrey Valentine. Neeraj Vyas. Justina Anna Warnick. Shauna N. Wasmus. Adam Watkins. Mitchell Albert Weber. Cecilia Jane Weingart. Emily Winkler. Christine Wojciechowicz. Kerlia Yan. Kevin Zhao. Jiaying Zhang. Let's have a round of applause for the class of 2024. Congratulations. I will now ask Dr. Byerly to approach and administer the medical student oath.
Thank you, Dr. Schmude. Dr. Schmude did an amazing job with 115 names, and that's great. Thank you so much for that. We're proud of each of you. Students, please stand and join me in reciting the Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine oath. The audience will find the text of the oath on page 7 of your program. We will recite this oath in unison, students, you and me. Other physicians are welcome to join in the recitation as well and recommit. As a physician in training, my first concern, I will strengthen myself with the knowledge and compassion to care for them. I will acknowledge my limits, seeking help when needed. I will be gracious with my teachers and colleagues. I will manifest the dignity and integrity inherent in the noble profession to which I aspire. I will treat everyone thoughtfully and with respect. At all times, may I never see in the patient anything but a patient in need. This oath I take freely upon my honor. Congratulations. You may be seated. Now, please help me welcome Brandon Eilberg, a member of our class of 2022, to talk about the Gold Humanism Honor Society. The mission of the society is to honor medical students, residents, fellows, and role model physician teachers and others who demonstrate excellence in humanistic clinical care, leadership, compassion, and dedication to service. Brandon.
Hello, and congratulations to the Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine class of 2024. My name is Brandon Eilberg, and I am a fourth-year medical student who today has the honor and privilege of speaking to all of you as you transition from your classroom-based education to hands-on clinical learning. As a student member of our institution's chapter of the Gold Humanism Honor Society, I'm excited to bring this nationally recognized organization to your attention and hope to leave you with some insight as you begin your clinical rotations. You all began medical school during the height of the pandemic and have thus far endured remote learning, social distancing from your peers, changing schedules, and uncertainty for months on end. I want to take a brief moment to formally acknowledge your perseverance and resilience as medical students during COVID-19. At this time, I would like to invite family members, friends, peers, and educators to please join me in a round of applause for the class of 2024. For many of you, starting your clinical rotations marks an exciting turning point in your medical journey that can't come soon enough. You've worked hard, passed your tests, and are ready for the next phase in your education. For others, rotations may seem like an intimidating challenge for which you may not feel prepared. Perhaps some of you are experiencing imposter syndrome or burnout. No matter where you fall on this spectrum, let me tell you this. You've all proven yourselves to be intelligent, motivated, and compassionate medical students who are more than ready to begin the next phase of your training and apply your knowledge gained through the first 2 years of medical school. It will be more important than ever to maintain balance in your personal life with the new challenges that lay ahead. So find time to spend time with family and friends, maintain your hobbies, and engage in self-care. I know that everyone here will strive to become amazing physicians. You may think that becoming a great doctor means studying for hours on end after a long day, reviewing pages and pages of medical records, or spending extra hours in the OR. While these skills may prove useful in understanding pathology and complex diagnoses, your most valuable learning will come from the best teachers that medicine has to offer, your patients. Listen intently to their stories, practice your physical exam skills, advocate on their behalves, and acknowledge their goals of care. Empathize with their pain, their setbacks, and their fears. Celebrate their successes and enjoy their company. Be honest, optimistic, and courageous. Let their insight and wisdom serve as motivation to become a physician who values humanism in medicine as the focal point of excellent care. The Arnold P. Gold Humanism Honor Society was founded in 2002 and recognizes students, residents, and faculty who are exemplars of compassionate patient care and who serve as role models, mentors, and leaders in medicine. With over 40,000 members internationally, I am honored to be part of this wonderful organization, not for its inclusivity, but for its focus on humanism in medicine at the heart of healthcare. Compassion, collaboration, and scientific excellence are fundamental tenets of humanistic care, which I hope will be guiding principles as you all practice the art of medicine. If you are cognizant of these values and firmly believe in humanistic care, you too can be inducted into this prestigious honor society that is widely regarded as one of the highest honors that one can receive as a medical professional. Plus, the membership is for life and includes many benefits, such as special recognition in your residency application forms, networking and mentoring connections, professional conferences and workshops, and unique leadership development opportunities. Humanism in medicine means caring about your patients just as much as caring for your patients, which is a great privilege and an even greater responsibility. Your education is so much more than mastering technical skills and accumulating knowledge. It is about working alongside patients and peers who will look to you for both direction and connection. Soon, you will be seen by many as champions of patient health and as team leaders. As such, you will bear the responsibility to do what is right by your patients and your coworkers. Over the next 2 years, let the medical student oath serve as a constant reminder why you chose this profession and the impact which you want to have on the world. As you embark on this wonderful journey, I implore you all to value each learning experience as an opportunity for personal growth and professional development. I want to leave you all with a short excerpt from the book Being Mortal, Medicine and What Matters in the End, authored by Dr. Atul Gawande, who is a renowned surgeon, writer, and public health leader. He said, "Sometimes we can offer a cure, sometimes only a salve, sometimes not even that. But whatever we can offer, our interventions and the risks and sacrifices they entail are justified only if they serve the larger aims of a person's life. When we forget that, the suffering we inflict can be barbaric. When we remember the good that we can do can be breathtaking." Thank you, good luck, and congratulations.
Students, congratulations again. Allow me to be the first to formally say that. The global pandemic taught us many things, but today let's reflect on how it helped us to learn patience and find renewed joy in old traditions. Your ceremony was delayed, but I hope it has made you relish it more. Hear every word and reflect on the solemn oath you took today. I offer with excitement my most sincere congratulations, and to the audience, thank you so much for celebrating this special occasion with us today. I ask that you remain seated while our students and the stage party exit. Congratulations.